Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer and explore the fascinating, honestly pretty fractured reality of the dreaming empire of Dor. I like to think of this empire like a massive continental game of Jenga. If you look at the western continent of Tantalin, you'll find this ancient, sprawling monarchy ruled by the Mandrake dynasty. But what makes this empire truly captivating isn't just its massive size, it's how it actually survives. The Dreaming Empire is entirely propped up by 8 highly specialized cities. Each one acts as this mandatory pillar holding up a massive house of cards. So today we are going to break down the unique strengths, the glaring weaknesses, and the stark differences between these 8 cities to understand exactly how this intricate machine operates and why it might just be on the verge of total collapse.
Here's what we're looking at today. We'll start at the top with the Indulgent Crown, then move through the military war machine, magic and ancient bloodlines, dip into the covert underbelly of gates, seas, and shadows, and finally, look at the fragile imperial balance. Let's get to it.
Look closely at these 8 distinct sigils. Sure, they might look nicely unified here in gold and iron, but each one represents a city that serves a vital, incredibly singular function for the empire. You've got the Crowned Crow, the Open Book, the Iron Gate. Make no mistake, while each city provides an irreplaceable strength to the crown, they are completely different in their culture and environment. And more importantly, every single one harbors a fatal flaw, a unique weakness that threatens to bring down the whole system.
All right, Section 1, the Indulgent Crown, the absolute center of power. It is honestly staggering to see the contrast right at the top of the imperial hierarchy. Just look at the difference here. You have Crown's Throne, the gleaming capital built all the way atop the massive Crown Root Mountain, projecting absolute indulgence with its black stone towers and beautiful golden domes. But then compare that to Greythorn. Greythorn is this rotting, submerged remnant of old noble power, just sinking into the central swamplands. The capital projects this eternal golden glory, while the old nobility is quite literally rotting in the marsh, clinging to ancient wealth and forgotten secrets.
So what does Crow's Throne actually do? At its core, it projects unshakable authority. It's the home of King Holger Mandrake and the Autumn Throne. Imperial intelligence considers it low risk for a very good reason. It is incredibly stable. But its primary weakness is a really dangerous obsession with theatrical pleasure. The citizens here just don't care about invasions or ideology. They are blissfully ignorant, happily trading the reality of a decaying world for gladiator games, masked galas, and illusion magic. They're basically living an illusion of eternal peace while the very edges of their empire rot away.
Moving right along to Section 2, the military war machine, built on blood and iron. Talk about a culture shock, right? You can immediately see the stark difference between the center and the edge of the empire here. While the capital happily funds the House of Unending Play, filled with bright lanterns and party masks, the northern fortress of Highguard exists in utter, shrouded silence. Highguard is the northernmost citadel, physically built into jagged peaks, and it exists for one purpose and one purpose only: to hold the line against the unknown horrors and void incursions of the wastes. There are no markets there, no festivals, just absolute, grueling discipline.
Now, Highguard isn't out there alone. It's actually part of a triad of cities that function as the empire's muscle. You have Ironvale, carved right into the Shield March Mountains, acting as the strategic brain and military headquarters, where the actual legions are trained and commanded. Then you have Highguard, functioning as that impenetrable northern shield we just talked about. And finally, you have Moor Hollow, the city of flesh and fire, which essentially serves as a fiery volcanic crucible for creating weapons and elite warriors.
There is this absolutely chilling saying about Moor Hollow. It does not raise soldiers, it forges them. And that's not a metaphor. This is a city built directly into a volcanic zone. It's choked by black haze, filled with lava-fed forges and stone-walled arenas. It is a literal proving ground. The mortality rate in these arenas is completely savage. The weak burn, and only the unbelievably strong actually survive to become Imperial-class weapons.
When we map out these 3 military pillars, the trade-offs are pretty brutal. Each one provides unbelievable defensive power. Highguard gives the Empire absolute vigilance, but the people there suffer from extreme scarcity and isolation. Ironvale offers brilliant military command, but it's totally paralyzed by a rigid, entirely militarized culture. There's practically zero civilian life. And Moor Hollow? Moor Hollow pays for its elite strength with a staggering, savage loss of human life in its forges.
Okay, Section 3, Magic and Ancient Bloodlines, the mind and memory of the Empire.
Just take a look at these floating towers crackling with elemental energy. This is Spellelach, the Mage's Crown. It actually sits right on top of a dense nexus of ley-line currents. What I find so fascinating here is that unlike the rest of the Empire, this city is not ruled by nobles or generals. It's ruled by a convocation of archmages. Power here has to be earned, conjured, or literally torn from the grip of your rivals. It's a city of cold calculation, proof, and supreme arcane dominance.
It's a really fascinating dichotomy when we compare this to the old nobility. Both of these cities deal in the intangible. Spellach wields supreme magical governance, while Greythorn hoards ancient ancestral wealth and memories, down in restricted vaults like the Mirror Crypt. But their weaknesses are absolutely catastrophic. Spellach's magic is so intense, it literally distorts time and reality, causing these super dangerous memory loops. Meanwhile, Greythorn is structurally paralyzed. It's literally decaying and rotting in its own isolation and its unhealthy obsession with the past.
Let's move to Section 4, Gates, Seas, and Shadows. Welcome to the covert underbelly.
And that brings us to Arkest, the City of Gates. Honestly, Arkest might just be the most dangerous city in all of Dor. It's this massive, wildly fractured trade nexus operating way out on the eastern border. Sure, it is officially ruled by the king's brother, Duke Roland, but let's be real. It's truly governed by corrupt merchant lords, covert assassin guilds like the Grim Shadows, and highly violent void cults. They call it the City of Gates because it houses these hidden, incredibly unstable portals to other realms, and some of them lead straight to void-broken hellscapes.
Now try pitting Arkest's totally chaotic environment against the Empire's southern naval stronghold, Black Tide. Where Arkest absolutely thrives on back-alley assassinations, fractured factions, and shady shadow games, Black Tide survives on rigid, militaristic precision. Built right into the coastal cliffs, Black Tide lives by the wind, the blade, and blind obedience. Arkest is constantly asking questions in the dark. Black Tide is duty first, and honestly, questions never.
The sheer cost of maintaining these fringes is terrifying when you look at it. Arkest brings in massive wealth and essential covert intelligence, yes, but it is highly unstable, infested with apocalyptic cults, and constantly risking total interdimensional collapse. Black Tide secures the seas with unrivaled maritime power, but its blind, inflexible duty means it completely ignores the internal political rot that is destroying the rest of the Empire through cities like Arkest and Greythorn.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, a fragile imperial balance, the ultimate house of cards.
When you look at the internal assessments coming from Imperial intelligence, you quickly realize they are sitting on a massive powder keg. At the core, Crow's throne is low risk. The military and naval pillars, Moorhollow, Ironvale, Black Tide, they're stable and controlled. But they are entirely surrounded by these highly unstable, reality-warping, and decaying fringe cities like Arkest, Spellach, and Greythorn. The entire safe center relies heavily on a crumbling, incredibly dangerous edge.
And that is the ultimate truth of the Dreaming Empire. Every single one of these 8 drastically different cities provides a totally mandatory pillar of strength. Take away Arkest's wealth, Spellach's magic, or Moorhollow steel, and the whole empire collapses. Because the crown is so busy ignoring the cults, the extreme scarcity, and the reality distortions in favor of eternal theater, deep, deep fractures are destroying the foundation from the outside in.
Which leaves us with a lingering, pretty much inevitable question. As the Mandrake dynasty sleeps comfortably on the Autumn throne, wrapped up in their own illusion, what happens when one of these deeply flawed pillars finally shatters under the weight of its own weakness? Will the Empire wake up from the dream, or will it simply be swallowed by the shadow? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what exactly holds the empires of your favorite worlds together. See you next time!